we added a whole slew of items. We had the state and regional compliance controls. We added purpose, which is tied to that as well, because there's different rules by, telemarketing, collections, whatever it may be. We've extended the attempts tracker, which going to some of the questions earlier, where before it was just by tracking by the customer number, the phone number, or the combination, but those were global settings. What we have in Service Pack 3 is so you can set that rule by a particular geocode, which I'll go to in a second, the purpose as well as the number type. So you can say, for the state of Washington, for a work number, I can only attempt them so many times if it's a collections. You can go down as deep as you want. The message tracker, I'll get into in a little bit as well, where we addressed, how many times can you play a message. This is one area in the future we're going to extend as well, where it's not there today, but what we intend to add is on sort of at the list level, we say, what time can I start playing messages for the customer? So at 5 p.m. local, I want to start playing messages for that customer, and then from there, have my message tracker to limit the number of messages played. Right now, we only limit the messages played. Convenient time to call I talked about already, a little bit more. We also had a batch load for exclusions. We had a web service interface now so that from an external system you can make a programmatic call to load an exclusion in real time. We changed how the administrative privileges are structured so that you could choose to have a role for administrators that are only provision only, like defining other users and their passwords and their privileges, and others that only had operational roles, such as starting lists, creating, defining filters, things of that nature. That was an issue that came up, more recently. And then we added in the final step of a time zone check for preview calls, where they just presented a record, they go on break, it's been sitting on their desktop for 40 minutes, maybe the time threshold is passed, and then they click to dial. Well, we added that last time zone check for, in that case, to say, sorry, out of time zone, and we'll let that call to be placed. Just the number types and rules tracking, what we did here is, essentially for each number, you can add a reserve field and say, what is this number type? It picks up the default number type from the schema level, so when you define the layout, but you can have a particular customer say, well, I ported that number, now it's a wireless number, or whatever data source you're looking to scrub your information. And you can assign that, and all of the corresponding rules will follow it without having to move that into a different position, which causes a bunch of auditing and tracking controls if you actually move the number to a different position in the record. The state and regional compliance controls. This is one to address all the restricted states, whether it's Texas, Louisiana, Minnesota, then the standard 4 plus all the others. We had to provide several new capabilities to support that. One is the definition of the geocode itself, and I'll get to that in a second, as well as the holidays, the purpose, because rules are by purpose as well, and then extending the attempts tracker and message tracker to accommodate it. Defining a geocode, you define it by postal. We're debating to define it by area code exchange, but with number portability, you cannot rely on, where is that number at? The only thing you can physically go on is postal. I've seen some comments where the FTC is mentioning that they may view, if you have the billing zone, the billing zip code or postal code may be viewed as, where that person resides. I'm not sure how definite it is, but at least people are considering, understanding this issue. And the good thing is our postal information is very well defined. It's it's numeric. It's got ranges. It's left to right. And every country I checked is pretty much similar, whether it's numeric or alphanumeric like in Canada. It's all pretty much left to right. It's all very ordered and logical. So essentially, what we allow you to do is define a jurisdiction, a geocode, by a range. For example, you can, and actually to show you, and this is too small, but essentially you can define it by a range, whether it's 0100 to 0110, 1999 or whatever it may be. I can't remember exactly what's the range for Massachusetts. Or it starts with, or it equals to, like if you want to do a city like New York City, you can actually do a small range and then some equals to, or an all. All is federal, so whether it's US, Mexico, things of that nature. And and on that, at this level, then you define for weekday, Saturday, Sunday, or a holiday. Holiday is recognized by that geocode. What is the valid start stop times by each number type? You know, whether it's home, wireless, business, other things of that nature. And then you define your holidays, because not every state recognizes the same set of holidays per their regulations. Then you can define purposes. You know, what's collections, telemarketing, fraud, customer service, whatever it may be. And then what we did is, for example, in the attempts tracker, which existed in base GA 7.3, we added so you can extend the rule by number type, geocode, and purpose, so that you can get down to a very detailed level. And once again, you can define it by, you know, for customer number, the physical phone number, 817-555-1212, independent of what position it's in, or the combination. And you can say for some frequency, whether it's 30 minutes, you know, you can go by minutes, hours, days, weeks, or the logical current day, current week, current month. So you may have one set of rules that are no more than one attempt in an hour, another set that it's no more than one attempt at the work number for the week, for the 7-day period, or whatever it may be. You know, you can define that. And you can define the rules the same for the message tracker, but as I mentioned before, essentially it allows you to it allows the attempt to take place once the threshold is met, but it sends a flag to Unified IP, don't play the message. So even if the play message is turned on for that disposition means it results, it will still not play the automated message. One thing to note here is we have a different, and actually it's back on the purpose type. You can determine, is this a telemarketing purpose or not? And what that allows us to do is, if it's a telemarketing purpose, if you get a dialer abandoned, so if you're legally dialing predictably like you're allowed to do, up to 3% abandons. If it's a telemarketing call, you're still obligated to play an auto opt-out message. So if it's telemarketing, you choose that type, it still allows that auto message to be played, or auto IVR to be played. But if it's not, it won't allow that to take place. And then convenient time to call, based on the question you brought up, essentially you can define, you know, either at the customer number or the phone number level itself, by number, by day, and multiple windows within a day, what are the convenient times to call? So this is convenient time to call. So whatever, if you make a definition, it's going to limit it to these time frames. And you can have multiple windows in the same day. So for the work number from Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to noon, and 3 to 5, you can do that. And Thursday, Friday, something else. It will not override the valid calling times. So at least from a conservative standpoint, you can't dial outside of the valid start-stop time. So if it's someone, you know, you have a soldier that's deployed, or someone's in consulting in a different region for a period of time, you'd have to either physically sign them to a different geocode or a different time zone to accommodate that. It can be accommodated, but we chose to not allow that sort of extension of valid calling time to take place. And then, you know, the other items I mentioned, as far as, you know, real-time exclusionary space and the preview check. You know, so that's what we provided recently. Some of the things we have coming up are, like I said, extensions on the rules that we already have in place, such as, you know, having the ability to say, don't start playing messages until a certain time. Things of that nature, not directly related to compliance, but facilitate, you know, maintaining compliance and once again regaining a little bit more productivity and things along that nature. So, you know, as things come up and you have requirements that you've identified, you know, please either reach out to me or through your account team, get that enhancement request in, or at least, even if it's we're running into this. It's not a requirement right now, but you're starting to be asked questions of that. Please inform us so that, we tried, gathering all those to make sure that we're consolidating what's going on. Just like the convenient time to call, all of a sudden people ask me, it's not a hard requirement yet, but people ask me very quickly in a short period of time, a lot of folks. So it's obviously on someone's internal minds. Any questions? Capabilities? Oh.
No, you first.
Sorry, the very last bullet point that you had last screen about the last minute UIP check for the call watch.
Yes?
Is that based on geocode or only on area code?
That there is only based, since that is actually, at this time at least, it's a unified IP doing the check, so it's based on area code and exchange. And it's based on the service times you have in unified IP. In VIA, that part is actually going to be then calling the compliance component in advanced list management, or the outreach component of VIA. Because it's about, at this point, it's about 75% the same kind of logic. Not sure of what information we have at that point, if we'll be able to support geocodes still for that kind of scenario, even though it's checking those components, or if it's going to still be tied to area code exchange. That hasn't been fully tested at that point. Good point, though.
Okay, so the question I have is, for TD Auto, we have a lot of dealers that we call to establish retail credit loans and lines of business with the dealer and funding dealers.
Oh, yes, right.
Okay, is that better? So, my question is TCPA applicable to non-consumers? So like if we're calling businesses, it's not just calling someone who is working there, but we're calling that business entity.
You mean if it's a wireless number?
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything that segments a business wireless from a consumer wireless. So everything I've seen at wireless is a wireless is a wireless.
Okay. So what is it?
Yes. Any other questions or concerns? Burning problems that you still do not have a solution for? Or that we do not have a solution for? Right. All right, cool. All right, well, I appreciate it. And I guess one thing I'm supposed to let you know is if you go into the application, the ACE app, in your agenda, there is a survey. Fill it out, let me know how I did, get it back, so we can always improve.